Let's do another one. This one is called hashtag Transcendent Health, adapting an LGB plus inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys. I can't even say this without laughing. Do you think that that is a useful form of our tax spend?
I am not familiar with that grant, but I think bench research, government investment in scientific and pharmaceutical
teen pregnancy
research.
for transgender boys. Do you think that that is a useful spend of our tax dollars?
I think government investment in all kinds of scientific research is of the utmost importance.
Including pregnancy prevention for transgender boys. Okay.
Hello, patriots. Today, we're diving into yet another example of how the radical left is wasting your hard-earned tax dollars on insane, woke projects while ignoring real issues affecting everyday Americans. In a heated congressional hearing, Miss Devito, a witness defending these outrageous government spending programs, was grilled about why millions of taxpayer dollars are being funneled into absurd projects like pregnancy prevention for transgender boys and gender equity in mathematical research. That's right, patriots. This is what your money is being spent on instead of fixing our economy, securing our borders, or supporting hardworking families. If you're fed up with woke elites squandering your money, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and share this video with everyone you know. Stay tuned until the end, because today we're exposing the truth and showing you how to fight back against this madness. Miss Devito's testimony was a masterclass in deflection. When asked about specific grants that were cut by the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, she refused to give straight answers. Instead, she hid behind vague platitudes about the importance of government research. But here's what she didn't want to admit. These grants weren't about advancing science or helping Americans. They were about pushing a radical agenda. Let's break it down. One of the grants cut was a $1.5 million NIH project at Morehouse College titled The Center to Advance Reproductive Justice and Behavioral Health Among Black Pregnant/Postpartum Women and Birthing People. Birthing people? What happened to just calling women what they are? This isn't inclusion, it's erasure. The left is so obsessed with their woke ideology that they're rewriting the dictionary to fit their narrative. And it gets worse.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It never gets boring in here. And I'd like to say thank you to the witnesses for being here and for taking the time. Miss Devito, thank you for coming here. In your testimony, you said that Americans deserve a government that works for them, a government that makes their lives easier and more secure. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Great. I'd like to read through a couple of the grants that DOGE has pulled back, and I'd like to get your take on them. They pulled back a $1.5 million NIH grant to Morehouse College. It was called the Center to Advance Reproductive Justice and Behavioral Health Among Black Pregnant/Postpartum Women and Birthing People. Do you think that that makes Americans' lives easier and more secure?
I think that medical and scientific research of all types.
Do you think that that constitutes critical research? According to your testimony, NIH grants are critical research?
I think that government research of all types in the medical.
Including of birthing people?
I think bench research of all types plays a fundamental role.
What is a birthing person?
Sir, I am here to talk about the DOGE impact.
Well, I'm asking you about this grant and you're defending it. So I'm asking you who is birthing people?
I am not familiar with this grant.
Mm-hmm.
I take a position that all kinds of government research, medical, pharmaceutical,
Is a birthing person a woman? Is that another
biological,
word for female?
That is outside the scope of my expertise.
Seems like erasure language to me. I've been told that type of vernacular constitutes erasure language. How about another one? How about the conference, Gender Equity in the Mathematical Study of Commutative Algebra? Do you think that that's a valid form of government spending?
I think mathematical research of all types is deserving of government.
What about studying, and this is directly from the National Science Foundation's website, women and non-binary mathematicians?
Again, I think all kinds of government investment should be dedicated toward mathematical.
All kinds of government investment. You don't have any kind of limit on what we're spending our money on? Just everything? Is that your testimony?
I am talking about DOGE. You brought up.
So am I. This is a grant that DOGE cut.
I am not familiar with this particular grant, but I think government investment in mathematical, biological.
Okay. Let's do another one. This one is called Hashtag transcendent health, adapting an LGB plus inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys. I can't even say this without laughing. Do you think that that is a useful form of our tax spend?
I am not familiar with that grant, but I think bench research, government investment in scientific and
Teen
pharmaceutical
pregnancy
research.
for transgender boys. Do you think that that is a useful spend of our tax dollars?
I think government investment in all kinds of scientific research is of the utmost importance.
Including pregnancy prevention for transgender boys. Okay. Let me ask you, we can come back to this later maybe. Do you support abolishing the filibuster still?
I am here to talk about DOGE respectfully.
Right.
and
We could abolish the filibuster and get a lot of DOGE cuts through. And you've written at length on your Twitter about abolishing the filibuster. I'm just curious if you think that we should do that still.
I did a lot of previous work on different topics because
Mm-hmm.
I am an economic policy expert, and respectfully, I'm here to talk about DOGE cuts.
Okay, but we could abolish the filibuster and get DOGE cuts. This is totally germane here. Do you think we should?
I am here to talk about DOGE cuts, not strategies for achieving more of them, but the harms that they have produced for working families.
That's a convenient change of opinion. I noticed that most of your comments about the filibuster were during the Biden administration. But we can move on. Let's go back to some more of these grants. Do you think that we should be spending money on, quote, the racialized basis of trait judgments from faces?
I am not at all familiar with that grant.
It's a $500,000 NSF grant.
Okay, I am not familiar with the subject matter or the
Right,
particular
but you're
grant.
defending these.
I am saying that I think the government
You're pretty
has-
adamant against DOGE cuts, and I'm asking you if you support the cuts
I think that
that
there is
DOGE has found.
economic and medical, public health, communal benefit to
What
the
about
government investing
cross-sex steroid therapy and cardiovascular risk in the transgender female?
Again, I think government investment in scientific research is
Great.
important.
Thank you for your testimony. I appreciate it.
The gentleman's time.
And it gets worse. Another grant, funded by the National Science Foundation, focused on gender equity in a mathematical study of commutative algebra and women and non-binary mathematicians. Patriots, I believe in math and science just as much as anyone else. But how does forcing gender politics and algebra help Americans? The left wants to inject their agenda into every corner of society, even where it doesn't belong. Then there's the truly absurd, a program called #Transcendent Health, which was aimed at adapting an LGB plus inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys. Let me get this straight. Pregnancy prevention for biological females identifying as male? This is what your tax dollars are funding instead of addressing skyrocketing inflation, crime rates, or the border crisis. When pressed on these grants, Miss Devito couldn't defend them. She dodged every question about their value, instead repeating over and over that all government research is important. But patriots, we know better. Not all research is created equal, and the American people deserve better than this kind of wasteful spending. And let's talk about another dodge. Miss Devito has previously advocated for abolishing the filibuster, a move that would allow the left to ram through their spending agenda without accountability. When asked about it during the hearing, she conveniently avoided the question. Why? Because she knows the filibuster is one of the only tools standing between us and complete one-party rule. This is a wake-up call. The radical left doesn't care about fiscal responsibility, common sense, or the struggles of everyday Americans. They care about pushing their woke agenda at any cost. But patriots, we can't let them win. Share this video right now to expose the truth about how your tax dollars are being wasted. Let's hold these bureaucrats accountable and demand that our government works for us, not against us. Subscribe to Conservative Mandate and join the fight to take back our country. Together, we'll stand up for traditional values, fiscal responsibility, and the rule of law. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.